From what I'm hearing, it almost sounds like being a woman depends entirely on being good with motherhood. So do we like limit being a woman to that? I know it's important, yes.
What do you mean?
Because you keep saying, oh, but the kids first, the kids first. What about the other aspects of being a woman? Like her happiness unto herself. If she's not fulfilled in her marriage, if she's empty, what is she supposed to pour out into loving her kids?
But is that her husband's responsibility to make her happy? Or is it
It's
herself?
not. That's what exactly. It's not her husband's responsibility. It's her responsibility to look for what makes her happy. Because at some point, like when you give and give, which is what I see, come from a very traditional family, and I've seen my mom give and give. You take a pause and wonder. I take a pause and wonder, what could have my mom been if she wasn't, focused entirely on us? And now we have options too. I take back options. I think people are kind of triggered when I say options, right? But maybe there's more to being woman than just purely motherhood.
And well, I don't disagree with you. I don't think if you decide, you do the calculus on your life and decide, hey, I don't want to have kids, that's fine. And I there's a lot of push, I think, in certain like more conservative traditional circles to be like, you need to have a kid, you need to have a kid, you need to have a kid. And granted, I do think that there is a sentiment out there of like, hey, a lot of people are like not wanting to have kids. Maybe some of those people have been misdirected or might be confused. But I do think there are people out there who have actually just done a self-assessment of themselves and are like, maybe they're just really self-aware and they're like, yeah, I don't think I'd be a good parent, therefore I'm not going to have kids. Or some people are incapable of having kids. So if I personally don't object to someone if they don't want to have kids, I think that's fine. But teach their own, I guess.
What do you think are valid reasons not to have kids?
What are some valid reasons to not have kids? Like,
well,
I mean, it could be a temperamental thing. If temperamentally you think you would potentially, like, if you think you'd be a bad parent,
a bad parent how?
Huh?
A bad parent how?
Hold on, let me let this come in.
Donated $100.
Yo,
I
thank you, man.
remember a plaque I saw once. Marriage isn't finding the right person. It's becoming the right person.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is kind of just what we're talking about.
Sounds like my next tattoo. I'm just kidding.
It's a new live, laugh,
I
love.
have no tattoos.
But to answer your question, what are some reasons why someone shouldn't have kids? I mean, if you just think you wouldn't be a good parent, or if you genuinely want to, for example, you think that having children would, and there's arguments against what I'm about to say, but if you have some ideal or goal that you're trying to pursue and you think kids would be a detriment to you achieving said goal or said achievement, that could be, I think that's a valid reason to not have kids. Of course, the counter argument to that is, well, when you're 90 and you're on your deathbed, or even younger, let's say, you're probably not going to be remembering all those late nights that you spent at work, and like those are probably not going to be the cherished moments that you think about. But some people are very achievement driven, so that could be a reason. And also, here's the other thing, though. A lot of people say, well, isn't life going to be lonely if you don't have kids? But having kids doesn't preclude you from having a lonely life either, because you could have kids and they could be, I think one fear, at least for me, for example, when it comes to having kids, what if your kid's a fuck up? Like a degenerate drug addict, like, just...
Aren't you going to tell them not to do drugs?
Well, I mean, you can...
I don't think that's effective in a lot of cases.
Well, I mean...
Well, like, tell them why. Like, it's going to ruin your life. You're probably going to be broke.
Do you think that's all do you think that's all it takes to ensure that the child doesn't end up doing drugs?
Not at all.
Now, granted,
No.
I of course think growing up in like a loving household and having being raised right can certainly have a very strong contributing factor to the way you turn out. However, I'm sure like there's people that were raised in otherwise normal households and they still, whether they still end up straying in either, crime or drugs or whatever it may be. So
You just had somebody on your show recently. I was watching an episode, and there was a girl who was like, raised in like this Christian household and, had great family values and the whole 9 yards. And it sounds like she was a sex worker. So, like it doesn't matter how amazing your parents were, how much structure you had. Sometimes it does the opposite. It makes you kind of rebel because it was so structured. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I think there's certainly that, but.
Brian, can I make a comment about the last thing you were talking
Sure.
about? So when it comes to, you mentioned achievement. I think ultimate achievement in life would be leaving a legacy that you are proud of, not just professionally, though, it would be with children. So to me, I guess my question to you, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, would be, you mentioned you didn't want to have children, correct? Okay. I guess what is the point of life to you then if you don't want to have children? Is it just to be here and have a grand old time and then it's all over? I mean, don't you want to leave some kind of a impactful legacy that will continue on for generations and generations?
I would not want it if my legacy is passing on a chronic illness. So it's like we are talking about this and it's all external.
Oh, hold on just a second.
Banana Deep 9 donated $100. I know too many young 21 to 23-year-old moms that are clubbing, hoeing around, doing pills. It's so sad and disgusting. They care more about living their life than enjoying being the mom of their child. Baby daddies are trash too. It's a shame for the childs.
Yo, Banana Deep, hey, thank you for the TTS, appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I think for both men and women, there's definitely a lot of that going on. People being absentee parents or just not really giving it the appropriate focus that it needs. And let me just trigger this really quick.
So the question is, what would be my legacy?
You're talking about an illness, like passing down an illness. Do you have?
Well, what would the purpose of your life be without leaving a legacy behind you?
I would go back to just finding out who I'm supposed to be. The thing is, we focus on the external. What about going back into the individual? Like in my experience, I have an autoimmune disease that I would not want to pass on, right? So obviously having kids, that's definitely out of the picture because I don't want someone else suffering like I do. So I need to have a different perspective on how I would enrich my life.
If you don't mind me asking, what is the autoimmune?
It's Hashimoto's thyroiditis.
There's other ways I believe that, you can leave a legacy, but definitely I understand that some women, they have that baby fever and whatever happens.
And there's so many women that can't have kids too, that try, that do IVF and all these other things that literally just, it's not successful. So want to make sure that I honor those women, that you do leave a legacy even if you can't have children.
Yes, most definitely. And that's a great point. Autoimmune diseases, things of that nature, unable to have children for some reason, 100%, yes. But if you are of able to have children, I guess that would be, in my mind, the most important legacy that a woman who's able to childbear could leave.
Well, is your life not worth living because you have an autoimmune disease?
Wait, what? It is, of course. But I wouldn't have to, wait, we were talking about motherhood though.
Yeah, so you're saying you don't want to have kids.
Yes, I don't want to have kids.
You don't want to pass down the disease. Well, isn't your life still worth living even with your disease?
It is. That's why I'm going out of my way to enrich my own life, not having to focus on motherhood.
So could you
Is it our life?
It kind of sounds like a hard issue. Just people don't want to have kids because they're selfish.
No,
I want to focus on me, my own story, me.
Yeah, but
That's what it sounds like.
I don't think we are here just because we are supposed to leave a legacy. Like, how about me today, right now, in the moment? So my life and my moment is not about what I'm passing to the future. Maybe there is no future. Maybe this is it. That's it. We're all gonna die, and it's the end of the world. So my life is about what is it that I'm doing today and what type of energy and vibration I'm sending out.
Are you saying that women are selfish if they don't have kids? Okay.
I'm saying people who think a good enough reason is, kid's gonna get in the way of me doing whatever I want to do to make myself look cool or just to live my life and not have any real responsibility.
More power to them.
Yeah,
more power to them.
That's a choice. I think people should have a choice.
Then those people should not have kids.
I want to choose to have a kid or not have a kid. Like, we can choose what kind of career we want to have, right? We should be able to choose what kind of lifestyle we want, what kind of marriage we want, what kind of relationship we want. Do we want to have kid or we don't want to have kid? It should be a choice. Like we all should have that.
Okay. Just a quick question, with all due respect. So if you didn't have the autoimmune disease, would you want to have kids?
Still no.
Why?
Because I would focus on myself. I mean, I could see
Selfish.
Chad here, you know,
Yeah, so
and it's easy to throw around the word selfish, but if you go a little bit and let's read up a little bit. Like, I think it's worth it to know who you are as a person.
selfish doesn't have to be a bad thing.
I know, exactly. That's my point.
Independent.
It's like, I applaud everyone